I'm Alicia back from my work basket. I'm going to show you the next Tunisian crochet stitch, which is the Tunisian Lace Stitch today. This is going to be block G if you're following in our crochet along. It's going to look like this, and I'll show you the sample closer up when I do the tutorial part. I'm really in love with this stitch, but I'm actually not going to be putting this square in my blanket personally. I feel like it's just a little too open compared to the other stitches, and that kind of makes me feel there's going to be like cold regions of the blanket. Like I feel like if this square was on my knee, that knee is going to be cold because the rest of the stitches are just so thick and squishy and warm. I am, however, making a scarf already with this stitch, and I'll give you the numbers for how to do that yourself on my website one day soon. So I'm going to show you that. Also, before I get to the tutorial, I want to let you know that we only have a few squares left on our crochet along, but I'm also about to go out of town again. So the next couple of videos may not be all on Tuesday like they're supposed to be. They may be like a little different time or something like that. So kind of be prepared for that over on my website. If you're new to my work basket, I'm glad to have you watching. I hope these videos help you with your projects. We're doing a crochet along on my website right now that you're creating multiple squares with different stitches of Tunisian crochet, and we're going to hook them all together into a blanket. I also have tons of other free patterns and fun stuff over at myworkbasket.com. So let's get started.
So here you can see the sample of what the Tunisian lace stitch is going to look like. Like I said, I really do love the stitch. It works up pretty fast. It does create a nice lacy look. You can see here I'm actually already working on a scarf, like I said. Like I said, I personally just feel like compared to the other stitches that this one is a little more open, and so I'm going to make an alternative square instead of putting this one in my blanket. But it is a nice stitch to know, and I will show you how to do that. So I'm going to get my Tunisian crochet hook. If you've watched my videos before, you're pretty familiar with this. Mine is from the Denise interchangeable crochet set. My ends come off and I can use different lengths. Since I have one handy, you can see here, this is one of my bigger hooks with a bigger chain. And so I can just change those for whatever project size I need. And you can also use it for regular crochet too, which is very nice, either with the short chain like this or even just by doing this. So I really love this set, and I'm going to show you today. I'm going to do something a little bit different because this stitch pattern happens so quickly. I'm going to do a much longer sample for you. So I'm going to actually cast on 29 or chain 29, just like you will do for the actual square for the blanket. 14, 15, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. And then you can always check that chain, make sure it's right. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 29. So what we're going to do is go into the chain, yarn over and pull it up, and we're going to hold that on the stitch. And we're going to do that all the way across this foundation chain. Having some fiddly fingers here today. We're going to pull up all these stitches all the way across. Now, if you're new to Tunisian crochet, make sure that you note your Tunisian crochet hook is going to be a little bit larger than what you would usually use for the yarn size. So today, even though I'm working with a worsted weight yarn, I'm actually using a J hook. When I use a bulky yarn, like on the scarf I was showing you, I actually use an M hook. So you do go up several sizes, and that helps to prevent curling in your finished piece. I'll show you again here on my sample real quick. Notice there's very minimal curling. This corner is curling up a little bit. If I had used a smaller one, Tunisian crochet does really like to curl. So you want to go up several sizes to minimize curling. So we should now have 29 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 29. So with Tunisian crochet, on most stitch patterns, you're going to end up with the same number of chains on your hook as you had chains. So you're going to end up with those loops. Now, this is where the actual stitch is different. On most stitches, on all the stitches we've done so far for our blanket, we now do a reverse pass and just go through all of these in a basic pattern. This pattern starts right away. So we've got this, And then we're going to hold the yarn and we're going to chain through 3 times. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Just by working with this first stitch, you can ignore all these others. It's just like if you were doing regular crochet. Now you're going to yarn over and you're going to go through 1 loop, 2 loops, lost my loops, 3 loops, 4 loops, 5 loops, and that's going to create that cluster on there. Now while you're doing 5 loops, you can see you're actually clustering 4 stitches. You're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through just 1. That's latching those together. And then you're going to chain 3 one more time just with this stitch. You can ignore all these right now. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3. Now we need all those Tunisian crochet stitches, so we're going to yarn over. We're going to pull through 5 stitches. That's going to be the 1 chain stitch and 4 of the stitches on our hook. And then we're going to chain and go through just that one. Then we're going to do it again. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to yarn over, go through that chain loop and through 4 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through just 1. As you can see, that's anchoring those stitches together when you do that 1. Now you're going to ignore all these extra stitches and you're going to chain just like regular crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to yarn over and go through the chain stitch, 4 stitches on the hook, yarn over and pull through just that 1 loop to anchor those stitches. 2 and 3. Yarn over and pull through 5 stitches total, yarn over and pull through 1. So then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 5 stitches total, chain through 1. Now you'll notice you have 5 left. You'll end up with 5 stitches. That's to finish a stitch. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and for this last one we're going to pull through all the stitches on our hook. So that's how your first row is going to look. You're already developing those cluster stitches. Now I have to do my last chain, so I'm going to yarn over. Don't forget that because you need this loop to start on your second row. So to start your second row and all your successive rows, what you're going to do is go through this loop that's anchoring your shell together, your cluster. We're going to yarn over, we're going to pull it up. You're going to go to this chain that you've got and you're going to yarn over and pull up through each stitch of that chain of 3. Then kind of notice how this looks. You've got a loop. What you're going to do, not through here, through this anchor loop. So that's how you're going to work across. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 1 through that anchor stitch. 1, 2, that one's a little tight, 3, and then you can see here through this top that's clustering all of those together, and 1. 1, 2, 3, and 1 in that cluster. One, 2, 3, and 1 in that cluster. So you're picking up stitches across each of the chain rows that you've worked with. 1, 2, 3, and in the cluster. And then when you get to this corner, you have to make sure you pay attention because you're going to need to pick up 3 more. So in this one closest to this one here and this one here, because there's going to be a total of 4 in this chain. So you want to make sure you pick up 3 there. And now that you've picked those up again, you'll end up with 29 stitches on your chain, on your hook again. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, and 29. So we've got the same number of stitches again. If you don't end up with the same number of stitches, then your work is going to get bigger or smaller and come out triangular instead of square. So we're back at the top of the round. We're going to work with just the single first stitch, and we're going to chain 3. So we're going to yarn over and go through just 1, yarn over, go through that 1 again, yarn over and go through that 1 again, and that's your chain 3. And then you're going to yarn over and pull through 5 loops on your hook, that one chain and the 4 to create the cluster, yarn over, pull through just 1. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3, yarn over and pull through 5 stitches, yarn over and pull through 1 stitch. That's to group those together. That's very important. So then we'll chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to yarn over, pull through 5. If you don't do it again, then you're going to end up with too much short of a section here. So say that I was to just chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That's not long enough for me to pick up the stitches next time I need it. Let me just chain 1 more and that'll be balanced. So yarn over, pull through 5 loops, yarn over, pull through 1. So you're doing kind of 1 simple chain and then 3 total chains. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over, pull through 5 loops, yarn over, pull through 1. 1, 2, and 3. Yarn over and pull through 5. Yarn over, pull through just that 1 to anchor that cluster. 1, 2, 3, and pull through all of them on your loop, on your hook, and 1 more. So now you can see I've got 2 rows, and it's building cluster on cluster. And I'll show you how to do just 1 more row. So you're going to pick up in this cluster hole, just stick your hook right in there and pull up, then across each chain, 1, 2, 3 in that cluster hole. 1, 2, 3 in that cluster hole. 1, 2, 3. Make sure you get this top one here. Into the cluster. Into that cluster. 1, 2, 3. 1 into that cluster, and make sure you don't forget this end corner here. You have to pick up 3 here as well. So 1, 2, 3. You should end up with 1 extra. That's kind of like your side stitch on that row. So then we're going to ignore all these. We're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through 5. And hook them together with 1 anchor stitch. 1, 2, 3, just using that first stitch. And then we're going to yarn over, go through that chain loop and through a total of 5 loops. Oop. Again, that's picking up 4 off your hook and creating a cluster of 4 stitches. Yarn over, go through 1, chain 3, yarn over and go through 5, yarn over, go through 1, 1, 2, 3. It really is a very easy and repetitive stitch once you get the hang of it. Cluster those together. 1, 2, 3. And I'll show you, I'm almost at the end of my row here. In the instructions that we're using for the actual blanket for the crochet along, they have you do kind of a closing row. And I tried it on my sample block and I did not like it. I just felt like it really looked more imbalanced than balanced. Make sure you close that last loop. So what I actually chose to do on my sample block is just leave it as is. You can see here my beginning chain row. You can see here my, do I have it upside down? Yes, I do have it upside down. I'm sorry about that. So you can see here my beginning chain row. This is the very first row, the foundation row. And you can see here how I just ended it. And to me, that looked far more balanced than doing the actual cast off that they suggest. You still have these loops that if you wanted to do fringe on a scarf or to sew it to a blanket. So I actually opted to just leave mine that way. And so All I did at this point was cut my yarn and pull it through like that. So that's how I felt. It just created a more finished look. I did attempt to do the closer that they say on the pattern, and it just looked really imbalanced, really kind of, what they have you do is go back into these and do a simple stitch, and it just created a very bulky top row that did not match the bottom row. So this is the only row so far where I actually just clipped it and ended it, and that would be my sample. So again, thank you for joining me today. I hope this helps you with your Tunisian crochet projects. I'd love to hear from you if you have questions about this stitch or if you've made any projects with this stitch. I'd love to know if you're following the crochet along. Be sure to visit me at myworkbasket.com, where I have tutorial videos, yarn tubes, free patterns, and all kinds of fun stuff. Thank you.